Okay, Mackenzie, and everyone, we ready for the next part of our story? Yes, this is a good one. All right, sit still, no wriggling. The street was beginning to wake up. Doors opened, people got into cars and drove off. Toby and Holly's mum came out and sat on the bench in their front garden with a book and a mug of tea. Mr. Moss stood at his gate, watching all the comings and going. Asher and Anal ran out of their house and over the road to the wilderness. Noah waved wildly from Lookout. "Your turn, Asher. I'm starving." Asher picked her way through the wet grass towards the tree. She stopped and stared. What's all this mess? Someone's had a fire, drunk loads of beer and stuff. I tidied up a bit. Bring a bin bag or something when you come back. It's horrible. Yeah. Asher climbed up to take his place. There's only 4 of us till Tobes and Holly get back at tea time, so we have to be extra vigilant. And we should refill the buckets and get the weapons ready, just in case. I'll bang the drum if I see anything suspicious. Anal's taking over from me. Then it's Zeke, then you again. I've written up a roster and we can pin it up so everyone knows their times. Okay, see you in a bit. Noah clambered back down the tree, jumped the last bit and ran up the wilderness towards the road. Mr. Moss was still leaning on his gate. He waved at Noah and pointed. "Made a new friend?" Noah looked round. A few metres behind him, a small bedraggled crow had perched on a low branch of the pear tree. "Ark, ark!" It turns its head towards one side. "Clever birds, crows," Mr. Moss said. "That's a young 'un. It fell out of a tree. It's hungry. I gave it some crumbs. Looks ready enough to leave the nest. Parents get sick of the young ones, turf them out eventually. Might even be starting a new family, new eggs to hatch out. But that young 'un will survive. It's taking a liking to you, Noah. Wait there a minute." Mr. Moss went inside his house. He came back carrying a big brown paper bag. "Here, you give it this. It'll get used to you if you feed it regular." Noah took the bag. Wild bird seed was handwritten on the outside. He dipped his hand in. He scattered the handful of seeds on the grass next to the old greenhouse. The crow put his head to one side, squawked, flew down and pecked at the seeds. It flew back into the pear tree. It flapped its wings and spread its tail feathers. "Ark, ark," it's called. "See," Mr. Moss said, "that's the ticket." "Wow, that's amazing," Noah said. "Keep the bird seed. Put it inside the old greenhouse to stay dry, lad. Then that you may carry on feeding your friend Crow." "Thank you." Noah took the bag into the greenhouse and rested on a dry, dusty patch of floor next to the chest of drawers. Perhaps, he thought, he could explain to Mr. Moss about the invaders. He could tell him about the for sale sign too. Mr. Moss was the one grown-up in the street who really would mind about it as much as him. But by the time he came back out of the greenhouse, Mr. Moss had gone back inside to his house, and the crow had flown away. And that's the end of that chapter. That was pretty good, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Thank you for listening.